there was one report yesterday from NJ.com, our guy Randy Miller again, who I guess was on with Ricky Ricardo. He started the bleep storm.
Yeah, Randy's on a roll.
Yeah,
Randy's in a
so now
streak.
maybe what happened is Randy liked the attention that he got last time, and now he fires out this one saying, quote, the Red Sox have emerged as a favorite, maybe the favorite to land Juan Soto. This according to people with knowledge of the contract negotiations, according to NJ Advance Media. Yanks are still hopeful on Soto, but now they're worried more about the Red Sox than they are about the Mets. Now, for me, BT, I'm not putting a lot of stock in it. I'm not buying anything that doesn't have, and this includes legitimate reporters. I'm not knocking Randy Miller. I just don't know him. But people that I know and trust, they even believe that it's possible based on league-wide sources that Toronto's going to have the highest offer. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying any report that has the highest offer being anything other than Steve Cohen and the Mets. And if that is the case, if he gets outbid, it's a problem. And from the Yankees' perspective, I can't be scared about the Red Sox because the Yankees should control their own fate here. So I'm not sure I'm buying this report.
Listen, this is all the game, and you've got to, kind of sift through the different stories and gravitate to the ones that you believe, people that you trust in terms of reporting chops. Here's what I think, and here's what I've really always said from day one. Toronto's going to be a massive threat just in terms of overspending, which will raise the ceiling, number one. The Mets will be right there, and I've always thought, at least since the Red Sox entered the equation, that they were far more viable than most people thought that they were. I think the Red Sox are real here. I really do. When you look at their presentation, Big Papi is of Dominican descent. Obviously, Pedro is of Dominican descent. Rafael Devers is of Dominican descent. And Juan Soto is obviously a proud Dominican as well. The Red Sox have won championships. So you talk about, what is he looking for? Well, he wants to get paid. And obviously, the Red Sox are in the equation in terms of money. He's got some countrymen that he grew up idolizing that are selling him on the virtues and the strength of the franchise. You've got Devers, who's a pretty good player, and, I don't put a ton of stock in it. You put even less in it.
Right.
But he did get a fairly comprehensive rundown of the Red Sox system. He is into that stuff, and he wants to know about player development and stuff like that, which, I think when you're a surgeon like he is in the batter's box, generally you're going to go a layer or two deeper in the other departments as well. It's probably just the way you think. And then you look at the configuration of the ballpark, and I got to tell you, just strip away the history and the money and how the team is, and those are big things. But put all that aside for a moment. If I'm Juan Soto, where do I think I'm going to have the greatest success as a hitter? It's at Fenway.
Yeah, I just don't buy Boston is better than New York.
Why?
It's New York. Right. Look, Red Sox fans are great. This is New York. You got the rivalry with the Mets and Yanks. You're talking about he's going to leave the Yankee pinstripes and go take the Red Sox money if everything's equal. Now, I get if the Red Sox have more money, sure, but I don't think the Red Sox would have more money than the Mets. So then in that scenario, I could see a realistic scenario where the Red Sox outbid the Yankees. Then it would be our turn, if that is the case, to rip the Yankees. But until I see it, I'm not going to go nuts just yet. With the Mets' perspective, I don't think there's any way the Red Sox are outbidding Steve Cohen and the Mets. So to me, the appeal of the Mets organization with the hierarchy of Cohen, Stearns, Mendoza, with what the Mets did last year, the fact that it's in New York, and the fact that it's going to be the most money in all likelihood, or maybe second to Toronto, which is not acceptable, but still, that I don't see Soto choosing the Red Sox in that scenario. I'd be stunned. Doesn't mean it can't happen. Yeah. I'd be stunned.
Well, listen, here's why the Toronto Blue Jays are really important here, and they're kind of viewed more as like this ancillary team that's hanging in the weeds, and they've got no shot. And I don't think he's going to Toronto, but very quickly dismissed by everybody. But what Toronto's presence is doing is raising the ceiling. Now, the Mets are going to Cohen's going to spend. That's not a question. But I think Toronto's mere presence and influence on these negotiations is raising that ceiling to a place that maybe the Yankees and the Red Sox aren't necessarily comfortable going to. So, and then you have to factor in, and of course they'll do this from the team that he has assembled, led by Boris, the tax implications, what offset, how much more does Toronto need to pay to offset those taxes, whatever. But say if Toronto gets to, I'm just throwing it out, 7-10, and he has no interest in going there, but the Red Sox and the Yankees get to that spot and the Mets 660, 670. Well, he might leave $30 or $40 million or $50 million on the table with Toronto, and I think that just adds to the viability of the Red Sox.
Right. So when everybody says Toronto may have the highest offer, well, not if all things are equal. If you deduct the taxes or whatever it may be, I believe the Mets will have the highest offer. So, and I still
They might. They very well might.
Okay, well, in that scenario, do you think Soto is going to take less? It sounds like you think that that's a possibility. He might take less money.
I think he's very intrigued by the Red Sox. Let me put it this way. I think that Juan Soto is more intrigued with the Red Sox than the Mets. I think the magnitude of the Mets will be the massive gap in money that a lot of Met fans are counting on.
But
I think he views the Red Sox more than the Mets favorably. I really do.
Just based on the ballpark?
Well,
it can't be based
on Big Papi, based on
what do you mean based on Big Papi? It's 20 years ago.
No. Not that Big Papi's going to protect him like Aaron Judge protected him last year. I'm not saying that. But when you grow up,
they don't have Pedro. They don't have Big Papi.
I understand that, but
they stink. The Red Sox.
Well, they do, but they got some young players coming, and they can spend some money. And I don't think. See, here's the thing: if the Yankees get Soto, I don't know that they'll do much more. If the Red Sox get Soto, I think that they're preparing to do more. Now, listen.
But why is it more appealing than the Mets?
Because I think that when you look at who from the Mets outside of Cohen and Mendoza and Stearns, and those are three very important things.
The three most important things.
No doubt. I don't disagree with that. But what former Mets are influencing his decision, selling him on the Mets? David Wright?
I mean,
Carlos Beltran?
What's the difference?
The difference is when you sit down with somebody that you idolize from the country. Right. I mean, the Dominicans are a proud group of people. And Juan Soto grew up idolizing these guys. You got Papi, you got Pedro saying, dude, there's no place like Boston when you win.
Yeah.
And listen,
Pedro also played in New York. He played with the Mets.
Oh, I'm sorry. Say
Pedro.
That.
Pedro was
but
with the Mets.
But he didn't win with the Mets.
I mean, but still, he went to New York. He speaks fondly of his time with the Mets.
Okay, and what do you think ranks higher? When Pedro talks about the experience in Queens versus Boston, his eyes light up like saucers when he talks about Boston.
So maybe the Red Sox have the advantage because of Big Papi and Pedro Martinez. You tell me that's going to outweigh the money or the current structure and ownership of the organization?
No, but then you mix in the ballpark. You mix in the comparable money. You mix in the scouting and the development and what they're going to do. These things matter. And I'll tell you,
if he takes less money to go to Boston, he's a loser. He's not who I thought he was. I wouldn't want, and that goes for the Mets and Yankees. Not a Met thing. He's going to take less money to go to Boston, the Boston Red Sox. He talked about prioritizing two things basically: winning and money, and he wouldn't be getting either there in Boston as far as the structure goes. The Yankees and Mets are both set up to win more, certainly more recently than what the Yankees, than what the Red Sox did a year ago, and projecting moving forward. Who the hell knows anything? But the Mets, the Mets are set up nicely, and you would think the Yankees, they win every year. Where the Red Sox, it's a couple years good, a couple years bad.
Yeah, no, but the Red Sox good years are great years, and that's not lost on Juan Soto. Again, the Yankees championships are dusty. Juan Soto done the 86. I mean, I didn't know anything from 1986, so that is less relevant to him. Again, I can't quantify. I'm not even pretending that I can, but to me, the Dominican influence is strong. And this is not me reacting to Miller's story today. For the last 3 weeks, I've said, watch out for the Red Sox. Yeah. I've said that.
Yeah, but you haven't even been. What do you mean you've said that?
I've been saying it for 3 weeks to you.
We're talking Yankees Mets. You still were saying the Yankees. You said Toronto was going to have the highest offer. And
I still believe that. I still believe that that's probably going to happen.
Yeah, I'm not getting caught up in the Red Sox. I think to me, that's a smokescreen. Now, again, BT, who knows? Like, we could be proven wrong. I just think it's a smokescreen with the Red Sox. I think you bring up good points about why it may be appealing. Ultimately, I still believe the player, Juan Soto, wants the most money. I think that's coming from the Mets, and I still think he wants New York. After getting a taste of New York, you're going to go to the Boston Red Sox?
Listen.
The less than Red Sox?
I'm not, predictions at this point mean nothing because you're right. We don't know. And would it surprise or it wouldn't stun us tomorrow? There's a big story, a wild card team emerges last second for, as a suitor for Juan Soto. That's why I started this whole conversation with, you've got to sift through, the people and the sources that you believe and you trust and you follow and try to minimize the stuff that you think is an embellishment of what's happening.
But we do know the four teams, right?
We do. I think. We do. I think that's true. But I think where you and I really differ is I really think the Red Sox are in play. I think the Red Sox have a prominent seat. And from my perspective, because as much as I don't want to give him 15 years, I want to retain Juan Soto, I'm worried about the Red Sox.
BT and Sal on the Fan. Our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Hector starts us off in Washington Heights. What's up, Hector?
Heck.
What's going on, guys?
How are you, man?
I'm good. What I don't understand is how more and more I have to keep agreeing with the Yankee fan of this tandem because you, buddy, I love you. But I'm listening to you talk, and it brings me back to the WBC and how for whatever reason you don't seem to understand how people feel about their cultures and the respect and the love and the wanting to carry on tradition. And like BT highlighted, that is big in the Dominican community. That's why you hear, and not only Dominicans, Latinos are like that. That's why you hear a lot of Latino players talk about the WBC in a way that you don't like it. So when people bring up, and listen, I'm going to be honest, as soon as I heard Boston was involved, I was worried. I got a bad gut feeling about him because of all of the things that I already know about Soto and how he grew up idolizing these guys. And to me, that does mean something. And I know as Mets fans, we want to think Steve Cohen and the money, and nobody's going to turn him down. And how you turn down money, especially in America, that's how everything is, viewed as money, 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 money. But for some people, other things do matter. And could he leave a few dollars on the table maybe because he feels he'll be more comfortable overall somewhere else? Yeah, that wouldn't shock me. That wouldn't shock me. But I have a question for you guys before you let me go if possible.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Everybody assumes that this negotiation is all Steve Cohen, and it's like if he has David Stearns locked up in a room somewhere, or David Stearns is just in the back somewhere, just watching it happen, and then once this is done, then David Stearns takes over. But what if Steve Cohen said, listen, you have open book. You do whatever the heck you want, but you do what you want. And he is letting him take, front in the negotiations, and he's going to go with whatever David Stearns says, no matter how much he wants the player. It could be like John Mara and the Giants with Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, though. I think to a certain...
we don't know.
Yeah, I think to a certain extent, Hector, and thank you for the call, and it's a good call. Look, here's the bottom line with the Red Sox thing. For me, BT, if you tell me that the Red Sox are going to be on par or outbid the Mets, then yeah, I think anything's possible. I've always said the Mets have to have the highest offer to have a shot at getting Juan Soto. If he took less money to go with the Yankees, wouldn't be stunned. We've had that conversation many times. Now we're saying he might take less money to go to Boston, or Boston's going to outbid the Mets. That's what I don't believe. I don't believe Juan Soto would take less money to go to the Red Sox, nor do I think the Red Sox are going to outbid the Mets. That's why I'm not looking at them as a legitimate threat.
Okay, first of all, put the Yanks aside for a sec and any other team that might emerge. Let's just do a little Mets-Red Sox thing here. If you're Juan Soto, why are the Mets more appealing than the Red Sox?
Well, I mean, I think you'd have to look at the owner, the general manager, the manager, and the season that they had last year.
He might love Boston's manager.
Yeah, maybe.
I think
he could. Right. Well, Mendoza was great last year. Core's been around a long time, sure. But the triumvirate of those three guys leading the organization and the direction of the organization, like, this is not all of a sudden Steve Cohen waking up from a nap like the Red Sox owner and saying, hey, you know what? I'm deciding to spend. They let Mookie Betts go. Like, the Red Sox have let good players go. They have not been good in a few years here. So the Red Sox owners have been inconsistent, where Steve Cohen has been pedal to the metal saying basically, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to build a winner here. He tried it one way by spending at the Verlanders and Scherzers. Didn't work out. Now he kind of stripped it down a little bit, and now they got a great financial flexibility going all in this offseason after having a successful offseason last year without even spending that much. So to me, if you were going to buy stock in an organization right now, you with your own money,
I'm listening.
Would you invest it in the Red Sox or the Mets? For me, I'm going with the Mets based on those things. So that would be the value. The ballpark, sure. The history, sure. I'll give you the edge with the Red Sox. Everything else to me says Mets.
Well, where would I put my money? That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. Juan Soto's never seen the Mets win. And again, it's a powerful thing when you grow up and you're the baseball savant that he is, and you have players from your homeland leading championship parades. Like, I don't know. If I were to go checklist, I'd say history. Now, again, just the Mets and the Red Sox here. No Yankees, nobody else. History, Red Sox. Ballpark, Red Sox. Success ratio, Red Sox. Dominican influence, Red Sox. So maybe the only thing that separates the Mets from the Red Sox would be the money. And I believe the Red Sox are prepared to spend, so I can't even say that.
Right, but the money and then the structure set up for the future. And by the way, all those things that you just listed.
It's how the Red Sox farm system is phenomenal. I mean, we're talking about the Mets' future. Right. They got to fill 4 positions. Now, I'm not saying that they won't. Yeah. But let's not sit here like they got 5 guys in their prime who are studs.
Again, I don't know if that's going to get valued or not. I have no idea.
I think with him it is.
And there is no... Okay, but then if you're going to value those things, history, ballpark, success rate, then why wouldn't you just stay with the Yankees?
He might.
Oh, okay, but he's going to have to take,
very well
he's gonna have to take less money. Right, so that's why I don't buy the Red Sox thing, because if he's valuing those things that you just said, then why wouldn't he just stay with the Yankees? I mean, you're telling me the Red Sox are going to outbid the Yankees by that much?
No. Listen, he might stay with the Yankees, but it very well might be Yankees 1, Red Sox 2, Mets 3.
Right, but the Mets might have the most money.
Oh, they do? No. Not that they might. They do.
Highest offer.
Right,
which is why, again, I have him go back to, which is why, in my mind, I agree with you. I just then eliminate the Red Sox, because if he's going to choose history, ballpark, success rate, that's Yankees, not Red Sox. If he's going to choose most money, that's Mets, not Red Sox.
Okay.
And again, we don't know this to be factual, but based on common sense, those are going to be the things. So why would I take the Red Sox if they lose to the Mets because of money and they lose to the Yankees because of the other category?
Put yourself in Juan's shoes right now. And you're 26 years old, and you're having constant conversations.
He's 26 years old. He grew up watching Pedro. I mean, come on, Pedro was successful.
Well, he certainly didn't grow up watching Darryl. Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah, but again, you're talking about the history.
Well, I think it matters.
Why? How old was he when Pedro was having his success with the Red Sox?
It doesn't matter. Hold on. How old were you when you were watching Starks, but you revere him? What's the difference?
Old enough.
Exactly.
Juan Soto's 26.
Yeah, but
Pedro, what are we going back to? 2007?
Well, you don't know what Juan Soto's family. I mean, maybe they were massive Red Sox fans. He's born into it.
Family because his uncle grew up watching.
But you're minimizing stuff that might not be important to you, but it very well might be important to him. See, you dismiss all this stuff, and it's ridiculous. You just keep going back to the money, and you might be right. These other things, I'm telling you what, they matter. And if you get a call
last year with the Red Sox was
from the Yankees, I know what was his last year there?
2004. That's 20 years ago.
Understood.
So 6-year-old Juan Soto.
Who's calling him from the Yankees? What? The guy that he played with isn't even calling him. Aaron Judge. But you got Big Papi. You have Pedro. Who's calling him for the Mets? David Wright? Tom Glavine? Who's calling him?
He was 6 years old. It doesn't matter. Oh, no, David, Ortiz. Okay, Ortiz played with the Red Sox in 2016, so maybe Ortiz, when he was 40, by the way. Ortiz played with the Red Sox in 2016, so actually you can make a case that Soto was of age to remember David Ortiz. That's going to be the deciding factor here.
Well, I'm not of the belief that you have to be a teenager to revere somebody. There's something to be said for history. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't really remember much about when I was 6. Maybe it's different. And maybe it's different for Juan Soto. And maybe, in fact, he's not really 26 then, because then that would make more sense. Maybe he's really 30 because he remembers some of Pedro's heyday. Look, it might be a factor. You're telling me you think Pedro Martinez and David Ortiz are going to be bigger factors than the most money?
Listen, you know what I'm telling you, because I just asked you the question. I said, if you have the checklist, what favors the Mets? And you told me about the structure and all these things, and then the money. I gave you 4 or 5 things. Now, if you choose to minimize my 4 or 5 things, that's fine.
No,
I don't really know what he's processing.
I'm saying the Yankees would have an advantage over the Red Sox with those things.
Okay, but now, again, where's the intimacy with, who's calling them? That matters. What? Judge not even calling. Tell me Pettit's calling him? And if he does he even care? Hey, I know this. When he sees Big Papi on his phone, he's pumped. When he sees Pedro, he's pumped. The Yankees' best player's not even calling him, Sal.
Yeah, I mean, at least that's what's reported. Who knows? All right, we'll continue with your calls here on the other side. 888-808-1019. BT and Sal on the Fan.